Hey everyone, welcome back to Keto and Crime. And as I said, I apologize for this, diversion from my normal programming. It will be back soon, but being that I am a gay woman and Pride Month used to be, or actually Pride Weekend, Pride Day, used to be a source of fun and just good remembrance of our very sordid history going all the way back to the Stonewall riots. And
Mayday? Why, that's the Russian New Year. You know, we'll have a big parade and we'll serve hotter.
I am going to cover the actual Stonewall riots on this channel so that everybody understands why Pride was ever a thing. But Pride has now been extended to an entire month, which I, as a gay person, think is ridiculous. I absolutely think taking one whole month out of the year to celebrate somebody's sexual identity or gender identity, since they've glomped everything else into LGBT, is a bit overkill. I have no problem with a day of remembrance for the pioneers that fought at Stonewall when we used to be really oppressed. Is great, but now it's becoming kind of clown world, and it is becoming an excuse to cram sexual identity down the throats of people that don't want it crammed down their throats, and an excuse for corporations to say they support us when they really don't, and it's just whatever. I'm an American that happens to be gay, and I want to remember my past, i.e. Stonewall riots, why I now have complete equality in this country, like every other citizen, and move on with my life. I don't need it for an entire 30 days, but evidently they think I do. So as a result, during this month of Pride, I'm going to take a little bit of pride and push back on what I think is wrong with the whole concept of the month of Pride. And with it, we enter part 2 of Clown World with a UK glamour magazine. Magazines are dying anyway. No one pays any attention to these online magazines, and that's exactly the reason they do this horseshit. But they are putting a quote-unquote pregnant man on the cover of their latest issue. And right here, he is in all his glory. Logan Brown is a trans man, i.e. biological female, that is now pregnant by his partner, a person by the name of Bailey, who is I'm not exactly sure, they say they are non-binary, but they also are a drag queen, so they believe in some kind of binary. But that is this person's partner, and so basically you have a biological female that has had relations with a biological male, and now a baby is coming. I thought this was basic high school biology. 𝗟𝗏𝗄𝗃 can make baby. We are not off that roller coaster. We will never be off that roller coaster until they start growing humans in a lab exclusively and feeding us to the new babies in the Matrix. So right now, we're down to, still sperm and egg make baby. And so that's what we have here. Very reminiscent of the picture that Demi Moore did back in the 90s when she was pregnant, and it was groundbreaking at that time. However, a person putting their pregnant belly on a magazine is not exactly groundbreaking anymore, but this is news. It's a slow news week. I mean, outside of talking about, a war that's still going on in Ukraine, this is what we're down to. But yeah, but it does not, and I'm kind of middle of the road, honestly, except for the whole point of keep this stuff away from kids. Middle of the road. As long as you are an adult human, identify as whatever you want, and I will call you appropriately because I try not to be a jerk. If this person came up to me I might struggle a little bit because you're obviously pregnant, but you look like you want to be a dude. So I just probably call them Logan. But if take the pregnancy out of it, if they came up to me, I'd probably say he because that's what they present as. So if you want me to call you female, call you male, call you a man, call you a woman, present as such. But don't come up to me dressed in drag, looking like a woman, but say you're non-binary, because I'm probably going to get that wrong every single time, even though I don't really want to get it wrong. I'm not a jerk. But however, we can't live in the fantasy world. And I know this whole big argument about sex versus gender. The gender is a construct, sex is biological. Okay, I understand that argument. I get it. But still, women are historically female and males are men are historically male. Therefore, sex does have something to do with it, especially in things as biological as pregnancy. Can we stop living in fantasy land? It's getting old. So you know what the proper terminology for this is to satisfy everybody? Pregnant trans man. You're a trans man. You're not a man. You are male, but you are not male. You are still biologically female. Therefore, you are not a man. Therefore, you are a trans man. It's very simple, very simple. And to say that you can actually change that about yourself is wrong. So when I see articles like this on Healthline, I get a little upset. And I just Googled this for shits and giggles, but this is what came up. Can men get pregnant? Yes, it is possible for men to become pregnant and give birth to the children of their own. In what world? In what world is that possible? It is possible for a biological female who identifies as a male or a man to get pregnant. Sure. But they are still biologically female. So I think we just, in the absence of common sense, I would be okay with just, when you talk about things like this, taking man and woman out of it and just saying male and female. Because I think it would absolutely drive home the point that to become pregnant and have a child, you have to be biologically female. And I could get into a whole argument of why being a male and identifying as a woman, or being a female and identifying as a man, does not make you a man and a woman. There's a whole lot more to it than that. I would agree that it makes you a trans man and a trans woman, and you have absolutely the right to live your life as such. But there are things that you will never be able to do that a biological female or male, i.e. woman or man, can do. There's just, we have to come back to reality. And when I see things like this, it just gets to me, because we're going back to having sexual traits are now just, you're assigned man, assigned woman. No, you're male and female. Do we need to start calling each other female human and male human? Will that, like we do with animals, will that, yes, language is a construct of the people that use the language. And you could make the argument that man and woman are constructs of language. But there's a lot more to it than that, especially when it gets down to the very core of who we are. When I die, and in 100 years, if somebody dares to dig me up and runs a DNA test on me, they're going to be able to tell that I was female or a woman. And the same with any human out there. So there's a whole lot more going on here than just, okay, it's just a word that we've assigned to certain attributes and it can be changed. And that's the whole point here. They're wanting to change it. They are wanting to make us so confused and so befuddled we've actually got it too good in this country, and we're inventing problems. And this is a problem. Yes, absolutely, helpline. If you have uterus and an ovaries, you can conceive. But who has that? Females, i.e. woman. And I am not going, you're okay. You're allowed to have your labels. I'm going to have mine. I am not giving up the term woman and saying that anybody that just says I'm a woman can be a woman. And I'm sure men feel the same way. It's a little more ingrained than just a word. It's like saying, okay, a dog is a cat and a cat is a dog. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And you can't change that yesterday like you guys seem to want to change it. If you want to call us female humans and male humans, okay, but you're not going to do that, because that eliminates your entire argument. There are some things that should not be changed. Call me a conservative if you want to, but there are just some things that should not be changed. And the fact that they are now teaching this as mainstream knowledge in our schools scares me. The fact that this stuff is being promoted on TikTok and social media and in schools absolutely scares me. We are confusing the bejesus out of children. Why can't children just be, girls have a vagina, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, and then if they are something else, they will figure it out. I knew that I was attracted same sex by the time I was in kindergarten, because I had a crush, what I now know to be a crush, on my kindergarten teacher. I wanted to hold her hand. It wasn't sexual, but I knew I wanted to hold her hand, that kind of thing. And there was nothing creepy there. It's just I had a crush. And I had crushes on females as I came up, and it was kind of the same thing. They had boyfriends. I didn't want a boyfriend, but I wanted to hold their hand. But it was not sexual. I knew I was different from a very young age. And if your child is truly gay or transgender, they will know from a very early age that they are different, and they will deal with that. And so they don't need to be led in that way by a school administration or by a government or by social media influencers on TikTok. Do you know what demographic is affected disproportionately by this whole new trend? Young teenage girls or females are absolutely the largest rising demographic to identify as trans or non-binary. And we all know that teenage girls aren't impressionable at all. That they don't follow trends and follow, it's like the little black dress. It's become the new little black dress. And you know why this is so disturbing? Because if you look, and I'm happy to go into this in depth if anybody would like me to on studies and such, but historically, true transgender persons, people that have true gender dysphoria, have historically been overwhelmingly male. And they have historically went on to very radical treatments, such as living their life as a female. It has been an overwhelmingly male mental perception, mental disorder, because gender dysphoria is still in the book on mental, is still considered a mental illness. So it's been overwhelmingly male. And why now has it suddenly flipped? Because it's no longer a diagnosed mental issue that takes years of therapy to diagnose and then careful transition after you've gone through puberty. It's now a social trend. And as a girl that used to like New Kids on the Block and then moved on to Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, teenage girls follow trends, and that's exactly what's happening here. Exactly what's happening here. You don't have to be, a scientist but I can bring you the scientific studies if you want to see it. I'm happy to. There's plenty of them from Europe now where they are backtracking on a lot of this. And for everybody that says that, it's okay to start somebody on hormone replacement therapy as a child, no. And to stop puberty, no. First of all, puberty is required no matter what sex you are. Let's take gender out of it and just go on pure biological sex, which is indisputable. Puberty is required to build a lot of the higher brain functions, to build reproductive functions, things like muscle mass, even immune system, endocrine system, and sexual gratification. And for all of you think I'm weird for even talking about that, it's a thing. Imagine going through your life never being able to have an orgasm or to even achieve erection because you stopped, because your parents decided because you were a boy that liked the color pink that you should be transitioned. You will never have an orgasm, probably never even be able to get an erection. So, yeah, it's important for quality of life that you're allowed to go through the puberty of your biological sex before you ever even contend with the whole gender question. And I'm happy to talk with anybody, debate anybody, but liberals won't come on here. Leftists will not talk to me because the ball is not in their corner. But if you are a leftist that will talk to me and will debate me and actually debate and not just scream and yell at the top of your lungs like a rabid mongoose, then I'm happy to talk with you. I am absolutely happy to talk with you. But that's my opinion, and that's why I think Pride has gotten out of hand. The whole month of June is no longer about, it's no longer about even celebrating my people. It's about celebrating a whole new social trend that isn't even really a thing. If it was a thing, true transgender, transsexuals, as they were called in my day, they're living their life within the binary. They know the binary exists, and they are trying to live their life as what they feel that they are. And they were allowed to go through puberty, and they have fulfilling lives, and blah, blah, blah. What we're seeing now is a rush to push people into this because it's the new hip thing. And in 10 years, just like it's happening in Europe right now with them closing a lot of their juvenile gender clinics because they know the damage that it can cause, both mentally and physically. We're going to look back at this in 20 years and kick ourselves in the ass for ever having done this experiment. We're being experimented on right now, and it's not fun, and it's not cool. And I, as a proud gay woman, but moreover a proud American, do not support it, will never support it. If you're an adult that wants to transition, more power to you. If I have the money, I'll drop it in your GoFundMe to help you fund it, if it will make your life better. But wanting to transition a child and stop them from going through normal biological functions, no. And if you want me to say that a man can have a baby, you're going to be waiting a long time, because trans men can have babies, but not men. And that's just the way I feel. That's my opinion. And it's also based scientific fact. And that's why I think Pride is not what it used to be, and why I'm going to celebrate Pride in my own way by continuing to talk about these issues. So coming up, I will soon have a video on the historical basis for Pride and why it was once a very important holiday to me. And until next time, keto and cry.